Well, it comes as some political parties have laid criminal charges against 2 ANC councillors for allegedly attempting to bribe a councillor to abstain from a council meeting, which saw Vasco da Gama voted out as Speaker. We're joined by the DA Gauteng leader, Msimanga. Mr. Msimanga, good evening to you. Thanks for your time tonight on News at Prime. So the writing is on the wall. The members of the opposition have already told you what their next move is, and it's to get your mayor, Mpopalatse, out of the city of Johannesburg. What's your plan? How are you going to ensure that they don't succeed in the same way they did with the Speaker?
Well, thank you very much, Kathy, and good evening to you and to the viewers at home. Let me start off by saying that, the Judas Iscariot will not happen again. What happened the previous time when people decided that, there was going to be some betrayal, there's going to be some conniving that took place, as we had seen last week, where members of the coalition partners have decided that they were going to vote against their own partner, which is something that is very much unfortunate. But we have subsequently been able to meet with all the other parties that are part of the coalition, and there's an agreement in terms of what we are going to do going forward. And we will make sure that, the motion is defeated against the Mpopalatse, and we will also still a speaker that will be coming from the coalition partners as well.
You can talk about these matters with confidence, but it didn't prevent you from being able to retain your speaker in the city of Joburg last week. So on a more concrete basis, how are you going to ensure that the betrayal, as you describe it, does not happen again?
Well, I think we've already started taking some steps. If you had listened to the media conference that we've had today, where we've had Dr. Dennis Bloom, where we've had Funzi Ngobeni, where we had Charles and myself speaking about our commitment to making sure that these coalitions do work, and also ensuring that our councillors are actually there to serve the people and not their own jackets. And this is why there are meetings that are taking place within the different caucuses to make sure that whatever happened doesn't occur again. And those that decide that they are going to serve their own jackets, unfortunately, these parties and this coalition is not going to be accommodative of such behavior, and they will not find themselves being representatives of different parties in these councils going forward. There's been a number of people that have already been, dismissed from their positions, Kathy, and this is something that we are we're feeling strongly about, and we'll continue to send the message that it cannot happen going forward. We will not allow a situation where the ANC is brought through the back door.
I was going to say, it looks to me that one of the sure-proof ways that you can ensure that your officials retain their positions is to have some kind of conversation with the ANC and the EFF.
Well, look, I mean, we always engaging with the ANC and with the EFF in terms of cordial existence in different legislatures, whether it be at the local level, at provincial level, even at the parliamentary level. What needs to happen right now is that we need to avoid and we need to stop this tendency of buying power or attempting to bribe people, as we have now have affidavits of people that have been approached to vote in a particular way, or not to attend meetings on specific days. So we're very much aware of this tactic, and this is why I was saying to you earlier on, we will not allow this to continue happening going forward. And I think the message is very clear. Anybody who then wants to then attempt to be enticed in that particular way will be dealt with very, very harshly by, the coalition, because we have to prove to the people of Gauteng and people of South Africa that, coalitions are the way of the future, and then it's going to work. Whether we like it or not, this is what is going to happen, and we better make it work. And this is why we're serious in what we're doing.
If we're looking specifically at these parties, so the EFF last week saying that it was swayed by the arguments that were made by some of these minority parties in relation to the allegations against Vasco da Gama. Today we heard, of course, of the allegations being brought against the mayor, Mpoka Paladze, who she's being accused effectively of being part of the cover-up that Vasco da Gama was involved in. The EFF has said that it will listen to anyone who is willing to speak to it. And they voted with the minority parties because they felt that they had been approached and they were convinced of the argument. This time around, is the will to keep Mpho in her position going to lead the DA to have conversations with the EFF about her retaining that position and the EFF supporting that particular motion?
I think what will happen is that there is a technical committee meeting that will be taking place before the next council sitting, Kathy. And what will then happen from there is that there will be a discussion in terms of how we then need to go going forward, who we need to be talking to, whether we need to be talking to the EFF whether at the national level or even at the provincial level or even the local guys, whether we need to be talking to the ANC and hearing some of these issues that have been brought by the minority, parties, and then seeing whether there is, any kind of validity in the issues that they're raising. Those are the things that are going to need to be taking place. But I cannot make a pronouncement at this point in time because you will know that the coalition partners have actually then taken a stance in terms of, how we then engage with other parties that are not part of the coalition. So that is something that will need to be taken to the coalition, group, and then the coalition group will then make an undertaking in terms of what needs to be done going forward.
Why the coalition crumbles, or at least is crumbling to the extent that we can see now, will be much debated by political analysts and commentators going forward. But ultimately, there is something for the DA to reflect on here, which is really that there is a failure by the party to be able to maintain its coalition, its governance through coalition.
Absolutely not true, Kathy. That's why I was saying to you, perhaps you need to listen to the presser that took place today, earlier on. Because none of the parties are coming in saying the DA is pulling us, as you would have heard, lies that had been told, in an earlier conversation that had taken place. The reason why the coalitions will work this time around is that we've actually then put together a system where, from a local level, at a provincial level, and even at the national level, there's different spheres in which, and different levels in which people are able to raise issues, people are able to talk to whatever grievances that they have. And there's mechanisms that have been put in place in black and white in terms of how we then resolve issues. So I think it's a little bit unfair to then say, the DA is failing to hold the coalition together. It's not the responsibility of the DA, but it's the responsibility of all the parties who are signatory, to the coalition agreement to make sure that this coalition works.
Well, is it not a DA-led coalition?
Come again, Kathy?
I'm asking, is it not a DA-led coalition?
No, this is not a DA-led coalition. This is a coalition by different parties. DA happens to be part of that coalition.
All right, DA Gauteng leader, Msimanga, we'll leave it there for tonight.